And we are live. This is the maiden voyage of Reality Rant to Jason Bermas. And to the producer, I did not hear the music whatsoever. It didn't come through on the boards. Of course it didn't. Why would it? But I hope we're not going to have the same issue with the phone calls when we get to that in the second hour. No guest today, but I'm going to have Johnny Vedmore on later in the week. It might be as early as tomorrow, as late as Thursday. I'm going to work that one out. I'm also trying to get Clay Clark on this week. What we're going to be talking about for the majority of the broadcast today is this metaverse, okay? And why it is a bridge to the ultimate transhumanism and ultimately what they want to bring in. And when I say they, I mean the military-industrial complex run by a social Darwinistic predator class that would like to use technology to enable them to live forever through biomedics and then enslave the rest of us in that. But not even a headset, okay? Because eventually we upload into the machines. And on the way there, you actually accept nanobots in your body that turn off your nervous system and no longer allow you to experience actual reality. Sounds like a great idea. Sounds awesome. It's really what we should strive for as human beings. In fact, a lot of what I'm going to present today is stuff that I presented at the last Clay Clark Reawaken America tour. And if you haven't seen that presentation, again, in 15 minutes, I think I bang out a lot, especially in front of a crowd of people, without quite the same set of tools at my disposal that I have here. And it's hard for people to grasp, number one, that we're in an era where virtual reality is becoming ever more convincing. That's one. Number two, that we also live in an era where human brain interfaces are no longer science fiction, even in the commercial realm, right? They're openly utilizing these things as the next smart medications, especially for depression, right? Now, that's aside from the super soldier program that's been going on for decades behind the scenes via DARPA, not just China. You know, everybody got all worked up when China was working on super soldiers. Really? Well, you don't think that we've been doing that as well? Anything China's doing, all right? It's the anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you. No, you can't. Yes, I can. No, you can't. Yes, I can. Anything they have done, we have at least attempted, right? The real race that people don't talk about, other than the arms race, the nuclear arms race, the Cold War, that kind of thing, was the biomedical warfare that was going on underground, behind the scenes, via chimeric research and others. All right? That in line with adapting humanity to new technologies that would be so immersive, right? They would put things like the radio and television to shame. And the little adorable screens that we use all the time, yay! Yibbida-doo! Whoop-it-away! That's just the next example of this. And it's going to get way, way crazier. In fact, virtual reality has really existed with a headset in some shape or form for several decades now as well. Now, there's this old ad, and there were virtual reality type devices. We're talking back, I believe, in the 60s and 70s, right? But what I'm talking about is I specifically remember late 90s, senior trip, I go to, I think it was Busch Gardens. And Busch Gardens, in one of the like arcade places, they had this virtual reality headset that came down on two people. And you put your arms in these gun type things. And you were in like, you know, it looked like maybe 64-bit at the time. And it was still like, whoa, this is pretty amazing. And now you've got devices. I mean, the one they're featuring here is actually an older device. It just looks slicker. And as long as they're able to hide the wires that go to it, it looks a lot better, right? It's the PlayStation VR version. And you have the now Oculus, which is basically an arm of Facebook, which is really a Trojan horse civilian system to not only get your data, but run algorithms on your personality, all right, and encompass you to the point of enslavement via their narratives and their social control. Okay? And they want to do that ever more in this metaverse. And that's why the World Economic Forum has partnered with them. We've got a slew of clips. All right, Kurzweil. We're gonna go back to the Musk clip we played yesterday. But before we even get there, I think it's really important that we read what's going on via this metaverse. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. All right, so hopefully we've got everything fixed for the bean. By the way, this is how it's going to work. Before we even get going, I know we're 5 minutes deep. We're 5 minutes deep in reality rants, guys. It's happening. Morning show. Wide awake. I want to thank the Bermas Brigade that's up at this hour. All right? So before we even get there, this is how it's going to work. The audio is going to be free always, which is awesome. Red Voice Media kicks ass. We love Red Voice Media. All right? But down below are the links that you can now, I think it's, not, if you're starting, it's $1 for the first 30 days. And redvoicemedia.com/Jason, redvoicemedia.com/uncensored, where you're going to be able to watch the show after you sign up through that. Redvoicemedia.net. Oh, wait, actually, it's redvoicemedia.com/Bermas, redvoicemedia.net/Jason. Those are the two affiliate links we want you to go click on and support the broadcast. It's $1 for the first month. $1. All right. And then it goes to 10. And if you want to lock it in at 100, that way you save 2 months. It's pretty great. There's other really cool creators on there. And I just found out my good friends, Jeffrey Wilson and Pat Militich, are going to be doing a show twice a month on Red Voice. So another great reason to come over. Alicia Powell, my girlfriend, knocking it out of the park. I love that woman. I mean, she's getting some really interesting interviews. Aubrey de Grey, Steve Bannon. Come on, guys. That's top tier. That's top tier. So come on over for the second hour sign up. If you don't want to spend the cash, I get it. We'd love to have you over on the audio end calling in. So in order to find me over there on the bean, if you will, what you want to do is you want to go to the infowarrior.podbean.com, where hopefully this is broadcasting right now. Let me see if this is... it doesn't say it there, but that doesn't mean it's not broadcasting. It should be broadcasting, and it'll get posted after the fact, too. You basically can call in from your phone with the app. Great way to do it. Great way to get things going. That's how we're going to have a conversation here, and we're also going to support the broadcast. All right, let's go down a little bit. The metaverse is a future, persistent, and interconnected virtual environment where social and economic elements mirror reality. Ooh, they mirror reality. And a lot of people are making a big deal about Facebook losing all this valuation. Facebook and Meta aren't going anywhere if these people have their way. Period. Unless the World Economic Forum, Davos, all right, and the infrastructures around them, the other roundtable groups, are completely destroyed. And I think power's like a vacuum. I think that's going to be very difficult. You may be able to take out certain personalities, right? Expose them in public, but to destroy the entire agenda is going to be extremely difficult, guys. That's just realism. Users can interact with it and each other simultaneously across devices and immersive technologies while engaging with digital assets and property. All right. I actually watched a video by Marcus Brownlee, very popular YouTuber, tech guy, earlier today, about the metaverse. And what I thought was really interesting about it is he and everybody else out there that thinks about this stuff continues to refer to Ready Player One, because that's what we do. We have a common experience as humanity, all right? And most of the time, that common experience is through entertainment, right? So it's a TV show. Back in the day, it's a book or a radio program. It's a movie. All right. And everybody points to Ready Player One like we're going to be running around in these haptic suits, right? And there's going to be classes of suits. Now, that's going to be there on a, how do I say this? On a smaller level. I got some coffee stuck over on my lip here, guys. Let's get that out of there. See, that's the dark brew that I drink in the morning. So they already have these haptic feedback systems in which it's hands-free controllers and your hands are over it, and it uses magnetic resonance waves, sound waves, to figure out where your hands are. And more, there are cameras now inside the lenses of these things. So they've already mapped a lot of your facial features. And they're doing that in real time. He showed that technology. So the idea that you're probably going to be in this suit, it's probably not even going to be that way. It's probably going to be just set up like a room. And even that room, if you remember when a lot of the VR, for instance, was hooked into your computer, or you go over to the arcades that have it, they have those sensors all the way around. I think it's going to be devices like that, and they're going to put out haptic waves, and that's going to be it's still going to be a headset, and the headsets, I believe, are going to get smaller and smaller, right? To the point where you could probably get to contact lenses, and that's for VR, not just AR. AR, for those that don't know, that's augmented reality, all right? So this technology is going to move quicker than people think, and there are intended bonuses, and those bonuses are going to be better gameplay, more immersion for those that accept human brain interfaces. These devices that Elon Musk wants a robot kiosk to throw into your brain. And by the way, River City Reader, rcreader.com, I'm going to be putting out a op-ed piece about Elon Musk, transhumanism. We discussed that. We discussed a little bit of Neuralink, and there's just so many points to hit. I didn't want to overwhelm people too much that weren't familiar, but basically it was five reasons not to trust Elon Musk. And you look at this thing, and it's like something out of a dark cartoon / euthanasia fetish. All right, the Muskinator. I'm proud of this graphic that I did. I got some Photoshop skills back there. There he is. He's the Terminator. He terminated all those people. You haven't seen my video on that yet. Come on, that's some fine Photoshop work. That's why you watch the show and just not listen to it, right? That's what the people are coming for. All right. So moving from theory to practice, all right, launched at the annual meeting in Davos 2022, defining and building the Metaverse is the world's foremost multi-stakeholder initiative to develop and share actionable strategies for creating, and here's the key, governing the Metaverse. Two big things in that first sentence, all right? This whole idea of stakeholder capitalism is a farce. It's Johnny nonsense. It's the parental union, or unit, the state, deciding how good you've been, how well they're going to pat you on the head. Hey there, little guy. Hey, chief, here, come here. I'm good for you, Buster Brown. That's all that is, stakeholder capitalism. The idea that a bunch of plutocratic, predator-class billionaires and their social climbing minions are going to give you, the people that live paycheck to paycheck, the people that have mortgages, the people that have made it, busted their ass with a small business, got a few million in the bank. You think they're giving you anything? No, they're taking it all away. Stakeholder capitalism. That's why these people don't care if they crash certain economies in the sense of their dollar bill or their doubloon, right? Or their pound or their euro eventually go out of style. They don't want that. They want a digital blockchain slavery system like their World Food Program. All right? And once they have their stakeholder capitalism and their digital credit score, because that's what stakeholder capitalism is, they'll also implement the climate agenda on top of it. They'll integrate it kind of at the same time as much as they can. People that sign on get bonuses. And that's the carbon control system. Because these people are literally, it's not just a post-truth world that we're living in right now. Let me make that very clear. It's not just the post-truth world. We're living in it. Believe the hype. These people who are transhumanists eventually are also post-humanists for the vast majority of us, right? They really believe, again, they're, while we're experimented on and we're culled via uploading our consciousness or allowing our mind clones to exist. We'll get into mind clones in a bit. They, like Kushner and others, think they'll create themselves into this new uber species, which can only die if basically you're run over by a car, you're murdered. It would take some kind of an event like that because you're going to be healthy, right? Disease isn't going to affect you. And for the vast majority of us, they're talking about a post-carbon future. Even when Bushnell talks about it, like this whole human-contaminated machines, he thinks eventually, no matter what, the machines are going to take over. I believe there's a class of people that think that they're just going to be on this earth forever. That's what Calico is. And that's run by Ray Kurzweil, who we're going to be quoting quite a bit here. All right? And we'll give Kurzweil his due. He at least, pretends that overpopulation isn't a problem and they're not going to cull a bunch of us. Isn't that nice of him? What a nice guy Mr. Kurzweil is. So let's go back to the World Economic Forum. Their own page, the Metaverse. Let's see. Members have committed to recommend governance. Governance frameworks for an interoperable and safe metaverse. We got to keep it safe. Everybody's so concerned about keeping you safe. And what that means is narrative control. The only safety they have on these platforms is safety for those at the top, that their crimes won't be exposed on a mass level, and that the serfs, the peasant class, doesn't have a voice. Oh, the interoperable and safe metaverse. Furthermore, by providing a space for global leaders in industry, civil society, and government, the initiative will share and accelerate insights and solutions that will bring the metaverse to life. By joining the initiative, members are playing a vital role in defining and building the metaverse. So here are the two big tracks here: governance, and then generating economic and societal value. See, the economic value has to be there as well, because the fourth industrial revolution is very much about the Internet of Bodies. And it's not just gaining access to your general information in the track trace database sense, which they're doing all the time, inside and outside your home, period. We're there. We've been there for a while, all right? Track trace database outside, it's over, baby. It's over. They're concerned with other things now, under the skin, like Harari talks about. Old Yuval. Some people should really listen to old Yuval. So while they're doing this, they've been telling what? They've been telling the youth that, and it's got a new fact check, by the way, on the World Economic Forum. Oh, this generation expects to have superpowers. They're going to have superpowers with these human brain interfaces. So I want to start it with the videos with Ray Kurzweil, and I'm torn. I feel like I should give Kurzweil his due first. And while he's explaining how basically we'll be able to, he's contending this metaverse is going to be so immersive, it's like you're there. All right. What we're seeing is peanuts. We're talking 2025 to 2029. All right. And that we're not overpopulated at all. I think he's talking about a conversation he had with an IMF person from Israel. All right. Who was also one of his professors. So, or he was a professor for, I'm not sure, but you'll get to see the clip. I'm going to do that. I'm going to allow him, because just like Musk, he tells some truth, but look at his actions. All right. We played the clip yesterday, if you've never seen it, where he talks about population collapse being a problem, and that basically the overpopulation scenario is a complete and total myth. Even Kurzweil, again, will admit that they only take up, when I say they, us, we, human beings, only take up about 5% of the usable space on this planet. So let's play some Kurzweil.
But it's kind of a strange world where we can do things that have to do with information, but otherwise the world is still the old world of scarcity. All of that's going to change as we go through the 2020s. And here I have an example of energy. So we're applying supercomputing to coming up with new materials, both for energy storage and collection of solar energy. As a result, the costs both of producing solar energy and storing it are coming down quite dramatically. As a result, we see exponential growth in the usage of solar and other renewables.
So let me just stop it right here. Now here's what I always find interesting about Kurzweil. Like, I don't want to talk about the old at all because we're on YouTube in the first hour, and sometimes the first hour we're not going to be able to talk about things. Another great reason to get the second hour. Okay, in fact, we can talk about those things on the flip side about Kurzweil and what others have said about that. All right. But they talk about how they're going to be able to have enough solar power, essentially, in a decade that solves all of our power issues. Well, that's freaking awesome, right? That would be cheap energy, abundance. The sun's not going anywhere. So why in the flipplschnick, the fuckelschnuck, would we ever worry about carbon footprints and fossil fuel? They're so bad, they're going to go out of style rapidly if we're actually able to do what Kurzweil says we're able to do. Even if we were to do it in 20 years, right? All of a sudden, so many carbon emissions, because that technology would be so abundant and cheap, would take out that industry that supposedly produces the evil carbon. Okay? They never talk about that aspect of solar. All right? So if that were the case, then why are they worried about this carbon system? Because it's command and control. It's getting into every aspect of your life. You're the carbon they want to reduce. It is an exercise in dehumanization and humiliation. They want to strip you of your actual humanity and make you believe that this is the better place. The old metaverse. The old metaverse. So let's go back to Ray, because Ray speaks some pretty big truths here.
It's doubling every 2 years. Total renewables is now about 6%. At 2 years each. Before 2030, we'll be able to provide all of our energy needs, ultimately at very low cost, using completely renewable energy. I presented this recently to the Prime Minister of Israel, who actually was in my class at the Sloan School in the 1970s. And he said, "Ray, do we have enough sunlight to do this with, to double what at that time was 7 more times?" And I said, yes, when we double 7 more times and are meeting 100% of our energy needs from solar, we'll be using 1 part in 10,000 of the sunlight that falls on the Earth. So that's just another example of how we will use the economics and the profound deflation rate of information technology that's now attending nominally information products to nominally physical products.
Let me just stop that again. All right? So right there, he's telling you by 2030, we should be able to harness the sun's power, just 1/10,000th of it. Takes care of global energy needs, but instead, there's a 2030 initiative to enslave every human being under a carbon system of control and a social credit score weaved into that. Why? Because the earth is dying. Prince Charles has the Terra Carta, and he said we need a Marshall Plan. A Marshall Plan. All right, to institute this using more money than the global economy in the trillions to do so. And who would pay for that? Well, ultimately, you pay for it with your labor, because they give you little tokens, little dollar bill skis, Really, most people aren't using. I mean, you think about how much money you make at this point, how much you actually pull in, and how much of that is taken care of with a card and digital transactions, and how much cash actually runs through your hands at this point. Is it a tenth? Is it a fifth every year? Think about that for a second. So if they blow out the economy and they have the resources and now they want to make that blockchain, wow, it's going to be, that's going to be pretty crazy, huh? Talk about command and control. And you're part of not only this metaverse at that point, a lot of people are going to be working, but automations being brought in. And who's doing all this stuff? Musk. The only thing people like Musk and Kurzweil have going for them is sometimes they're starkly honest about overpopulation and energy. But Musk is on that carbon train. That's another thing people don't want to talk about. Him and his electric cars. Listen, if those Teslas were powered by something other than fuel at the end of the day, 80 to 90% of the time, or gas at the end of the day, if they were powered by solar, groovy. Great. I think that's fantastic. So let's let Kurzweil continue here.
Like energy and food and clothing and housing. Finally, then she said, okay, there's one resource that's not an information technology, which you can't grow this way, which is land. We're very crowded together. That's not going to grow exponentially. And I said, actually, we're not crowded together. Try taking a train trip anywhere in the world, and you'll see 95% of the usable land is not used. So we've decided artificially to crowd ourselves together. Cities was a very early invention so that we could work and play together. Ultimately, we'll be able to overcome that by spreading out. We're already doing that. My work group at Google is all over the world, and we're able to work together. It's not exactly as good yet as being together, but ultimately, when virtual reality and augmented reality becomes highly realistic, which it will by the end of the 2020s, we'll be able to work and play together just like we're physically together, and we'll be able to live anywhere we want and use all of that 95% of the usable land that's currently not used.
So let's break that down for a moment. The promises of VR are that we won't have to live in the crowded cities yet. This is a global project. World Economic Forum is global initiative, global governance. And you got projects like GNOME that we covered right here on Red Voice Media. In fact, it's an exclusive. It's now free. Anybody can go check it out. We haven't posted anywhere else. If you haven't seen my video on GNOME and the line, it's this 2030 agenda brought to you by Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, where they want to put you into this enclosed city. When you see the ad for it, it looks like something out of the metaverse. It looks like something out of Imagination Land. Okay? That's, and it's supposed to, because it's telling you everything's going to be fine, submit, you're going to want to live in these cities, everything's going to be 5 minutes away, we're going to have high-speed rail lines on them. And that's the thing, he talked about taking a train trip. One of the things that we could have empowered this country, and really all of North and South America with, over the last 2-3 decades. We had the technology, it's been done other places, that would have changed the game. And forget about allowing people to spread out because virtual reality is great. Woo, virtual reality is great. Is built the infrastructure for a high-speed railway system in this country and up through Canada and into South America. Period. I mean, that's something that we should have done. Think about that. High-speed railway system, cheap travel for people that could literally live in a very rural part of a state and then get to that city center easily, or even live in another state, commute for an hour each way, and get into another state, especially on the East Coast. Cities, whole thing. We never did that. Yeah, I always think to myself, wow, why wouldn't we do that? Just like Eisenhower did the highway system that changed everything in this country. And why haven't we figured out a better technology for the roadway systems other than cement by that. Now, there's got to be something better, right? There's a lot of things we could be doing to empower humanity and everyday stuff. No, we're worried about the metaverse. We're worried about VR. All right? And see, now I'm tempted. Because do we go full transhumanism and mind clone, or do we transverse? And I think we are going to transverse, because it's really important that you see, everybody saw the thumbnail here. And everybody knows that Meta, there it is. It's the infinite loop. That's the symbol. Well, that's where we're going to get into Kurzweil, his alter ego in VR, Ramona. Okay? And how he's selling you on the idea that you just have a ton of personalities and they're all just waiting to come out. And then Martine Rothblatt, who Kurzweil and Rothblatt, first of all, Kurzweil does the forward, right, to Virtually Human, The Promise and Peril of Digital Immortality. Okay? I mean, big deal here. And they do interviews together. That book's from like 2015. If you're looking in the middle, you're like, is that a metaverse thing? No, that's the religion/foundation TerraSim that was created by Rothblatt, the most powerful transgender person on the planet, right? Who in the 90s wrote Unzipped Genes, basically taking control of human beings pre-birth. No more need for nature. No more need for nature. And actually wrote the manifesto here. Yes, it's a manifesto on the freedom of form. From transgender to transhuman, where it's argued, as you can see right here, that there are actually billions of sexes. This is before gender was the hip term, but you get it, right? And that in the future, labeling people at birth as male or female will be considered just as unfair as South Africa's now abolished practice of stamping black or white on people's ID cards. See, it's always about bringing in bigotry, and you're bad, and there is no nature. And this is an accident of nature, by the way. If you have a small penis or a small vagina. I didn't write these things. I'm not the person with my own religion. I'm not the CEO of United Therapeutics. I didn't found SiriusXM. I just read them. All you need is a 4th grade education to read them. To understand them, maybe you need a little bit more. In this country, that might be asking a lot. And by the way, to get this out to people, I see we don't even have 100 thumbs up on YouTube. Come on, this is the new morning show, baby. There's only 28 minutes left of the free part of the broadcast. Then you're going to have to sign up in the links down below. redvoicemedia.net/Jason is one way to do it. I think there's some other links down there for the uncensored portion of the broadcast. And if not, remember, come on over. We want you to come over even now, over to Podbean, get the app, and get ready to call in, because we're going to take calls in the second hour. So, since we went from transgender to transhuman, because that's what this is all about. It's about you not loving reality, you disassociating from your biology. That's why they want everything to be fluid and non-binary and zeros and ones, and you live in a simulation. And nothing's important, man. Just go with the flow. You're a bunch of other stuff. So here's Kurzweil. This is in 2006. You were just watching something from 2018, all right, where you meet Kurzweil's alter ego, who also happens to be a female.
Who is Ramona?
Well, this is a project that started a number of years ago. She's a female, she's my female alter ego, and we'll have virtual bodies in these virtual reality environments, particularly when it's through the nervous system. When we have nanobots in our brains that can shut down the signals coming from our real sensors, replace them with the signals that your brain would be receiving if you were in the virtual environment, then it'll feel like you're in that virtual environment. Your body...
Let me just stop that. I think that's worth stopping. So to circle back to the beginning of this, when I said it's not just a headset, do you see what he's talking about? Injectable nanobots that shut off your nervous system and replace it. Now, I want people to understand the implications of that, because it's not like everybody's just going to voluntarily do that. But it's going to be a hell of a lot easier to do that to people when it's either an injectable or an aerosol than when it's implanting a human brain interface into your body. Talk about next level biomedical techno warfare. That's it. Virtual insanity. So, I mean, you see Kurzweil like twitching out while he's doing this thing. This is the author, by the way, of The Age of Spiritual Machines and several others, including The Singularity. Okay, so let's continue with Kurzweil.
It doesn't have to be the same body that you have in real reality. A couple could become each other, for example. And so I wanted to demonstrate how you could do that.
Well, in virtual reality, you can be who you want to be, and you can be where you want to be and with whom you want to be. In virtual reality, you can be someone else.
So apparently, in VR, Ray Kurzweil wants to be a floozy tramp with her shirt wide open on an island somewhere, talking about all the dudes she's dated.
You don't have to be the same boring person all the time. I mean, you all have these personalities inside you that don't quite fit with your bodies in real reality.
So you have all these personalities, just like Rothblatt's telling you there are billions of sexes. No, they're not worried about billions of human beings, right? Billions of sexes. You got a ton of personalities. And one of them's, again, some female talking about dudes she's dated. Right, Ray? My goodness.
So basically, most people just, like, kill them all off. Some people don't actually keep any of their personalities, which reminds me of some of my old boyfriends, but that's another story.
Is it, Ray? And this is important to Kurzweil. He tells you how important it is, and I'll tell you why it's important. I cut this down for the Clay presentation. I only missed one of the clips, which is impressive because, again, you got to really be condensed down. Look at that little smirk on Ray. He loves Ramona.
Mr. Kurzweil.
So this is actually a serious project.
Yeah, it's a serious project. He wants that thing to pass the Turing test. The Turing test is when you can no longer tell whether you're talking to a computer or a human being. Ramona is that persona that Ray would like to pass that test. So, remember, I do want to say it again. Kurzweil is at both ends of the stick, right? Because he's part of Calico, which is working on a biological way to not only regenerate cells, but restore them, right? Reverse aging on top of that. Reverse what's been done. And then he's part of this virtual environment, creating AI on a level most of us can't imagine. And Calico, again, a division of Alphabet, Google, etc. Now, I want to go all the way back to 1999, where Ray is discussing his age of spiritual machines and what that exactly means. And he even mentions, I believe, in one of these two clips we're about to play, the idea of carbon-based life and how we're not going to be carbon-based life eventually because these entities that we create are going to be given rights and eventually overtake us. Lovely. Just sounds awesome, Mr. Kurzweil.
So we're not going to throw our mind file away just because the hardware crashes or as we go to the next very personal computer to embody our bodies and our brains.
So when he's talking mind file, this is another thing Rothblatt's talking about. This is that Internet of Bodies, right? This is where it gets into more than just algorithms of behavior on social media, the facial cues from your devices, but that Internet of Bodies inside and how your very nervous system, right, reacts to certain things. That's what's going on here.
We'll copy them, and we'll retain that information. There's a little fly in the ointment from my perspective, which is just because there's this entity that thinks it's Ray Kurzweil because he has that memory, that snapshot of all the memories and knowledge that I've accumulated over the last several decades that have been on this planet. I'm still, the old Ray Kurzweil, which is me, is still here in my carbon cell-based brain. And so my consciousness hasn't really been transferred over to this new entity.
My carbon cell brain. And he admits, my consciousness hasn't gone anywhere, right? But he's evolved into now saying that these things are in fact going to be conscious. Here he kind of makes the argument back and forth that they may not necessarily be conscious. I'm telling you right now, there's a difference between what they're going to say is conscious with these things and what we are, period. All right, this is the inversion of reality.
In fact, you could have scanned my brain while I was sleeping and go and create this copy. I wouldn't even necessarily know about it. So I'll just probably end up jealous of this guy because he'll share my ambitions and dreams, but he'll be in a much better position than I am to fulfill them.
Yeah, because he's going to live forever. Now, here Kurzweil expands on the idea of what this consciousness is.
They are the most subtle, complex, deep, and rich phenomena that goes on in the human brain. These new entities will evidence that same kind of rich behavior. We will meet machines in the next century, and what I mean by machines is a non-biological entity, an entity that's not a carbon cell-based entity, that's not
a carbon-based cell entity. Not a carbon talk. Not a carbon talk. That's not by accident.
Based on DNA-guided protein synthesis, but that is nonetheless based on the principles of the methods of the human brain, and they will claim to be conscious, they'll claim to have emotional experiences, they'll claim to have spiritual experiences, hence the title of my book. And unlike entities today, because you can meet virtual personalities in your kids' computer games, these 21st century entities will be very compelling. They'll be very convincing when they evidence these things. And in fact, they'll be very intelligent, so they will succeed in convincing us that they are conscious, that they have emotional experiences, and that they have spiritual experiences.
Let me just stop you right there. They're going to succeed. Why would we ever go down this path? And again, I've told you why. Because you have this class of people that believe that they're going to create the new Ubermenschen amongst themselves, and then utilize this technology to make us believe that we should hate ourselves and our standards of living because we are in fact carbon-based and killing the earth. And more assimilate to this Borg via robotics and transhumanism, ultimately to believe that we can upload our consciousness and that we've got a mind file and a virtual doppelganger and a mind clone. And this is all okay. It's not okay. And while this is happening, the automation bots that are coming in, we're being promised that they're going to solve everything and we're going to get anything we want, guys. We're going to get it all. Anything we want. That's what's coming, according to Elon Musk or nuts. Anything. Play that clip in a minute. But I want Kurzweil to finish up where he admits once again these things won't necessarily be conscious. But consarn it, they sure are going to convince us they are.
And we'll settle it the way we always settle these issues, which is politically. And most people will be convinced because these entities are going to be very convincing. They'll get mad if we don't agree with them. So we will come to believe that they are conscious. But that's a little bit different than the philosophical statement that they are conscious. I mean, a lot of people in write-ups on my book have said, well, Ray Kurzweil's predicting conscious machines. My prediction's a little bit different. We're going to have machines that claim to be conscious, and they're going to be very convincing, and we're going to believe them. That's a little bit different than absolutely saying that they are conscious.
It's different indeed, my friend. Now, we've talked about the nervous system. We've talked about human brain interfaces. It's time now to talk NASA and how this is not a new thing, all right? Because I always go to this document, but Dennis Bushnell, the person that put this together, this is pre-9/11, all right? It's a wealth of information. That's all I can say about it. Future strategic issues, future warfare circa 2025. It is a blueprint for the last 20-plus years. It is moving us into that direction of the 2030 agenda of the things that Ray Kurzweil just talked about. And what I find, the bots, Borgs, and humans welcome you to 2025 AD. Incredible about this. I mean, you see it's a joint warfare document on top of everything. It tells you There is no what? Pixie dust. This is all based on current data trends analysis and technologies. That's in 2001. Already exists. All right? They tell you it takes about 15 plus years to develop, and sometimes they keep it in inventory for 40 plus years. They tell you in this, they utilize Trojan horse civilian systems to get this stuff out into the public. Okay? Now, when you look at this thing, and you look at this right here, it is also on that basis that we're bad and we're killing the planet. All right? Period. We're bad. Human beings are bad. And we need to genomically design and repair the human species on the way to mind children. Right? Because there's just too much global warming, pollution, deforestation. We suck. But we can do cross-species molecular breeding and directed evolution. Isn't that great? And this is all before they get into the economy, right? Nanotech, which is a huge thing here. And that the bio-nano era will come in 2020. Weird. Weird they picked 2020. Wonder why they did that. Don't want to expand upon it. We're on YouTube. And by the way, YouTube, can we get 150 likes? Can we get this out to people? We got about 14 minutes left of the censored part of the broadcast. Down below are the links to sign up. redvoicemedia.net/Jason. Great way to sign up. Then you get everything. Start for $1, guys. Start for $1. Otherwise, please come over to the Podbean and listen to the show and call in. We're going to be taking your calls in that second hour. But you see this, the virtual era. They don't know when it starts, but that's what they want in there. Now, I'm going to type in hollow because I want people to understand, even at this point, 5 cents VR was on the way, and it was demonstrated by about 2010, okay? And that means you can also smell stuff. And they talk about not the nanobots in your brain, but virtual reality, holographic, immersive, ubiquitous communications, hyperspectral sensors, virtual presence, right? Automatic robot, everything. Huge cost reduction. That's an IT. Think about that. What's Musk bringing in? His Optimus bot. Cost reduction. Now, in the biological field, lifespan doubling. Genetic engineering before birth. We talked about that earlier, right? And the lifespan doubling, do you think that's going to be for you and I? Huh? Do you? Do you really believe that? Let's continue on to where we get to the holodecks. There it is right there. Immersive multisensory VR. Holodecks. And again, automatics, robots in the large. Beyond human AI. Micro nanosats. And we talked a lot about nanosat technology yesterday, again, via the Muskernuts, via the Blackjack program, via Starlink, via SpaceX, and NASA. NASA. Now, when we talk human brain interfaces, and I think there might be one more on the, no, I guess that's it for the holodecks. Bushnell tells you that in 2018, they've already put 200,000 of these bad boys in people's heads. And praise be to Lord Musk for being part of that brain chip initiative.
Humans are now becoming cyborgs. We have cochlear implants to hear, artificial retinas to see, artificial hearts to live, artificial limbs to move, artificial organs to functions, and brain chips. There's a couple 100,000 people wandering around with brain chips now to fix congenitally defective brains and increasingly to fix memory and other things. DARPA's working on brain chips for super soldiers.
So again, they're going to say that these human brain interfaces are the best thing since breakfast. They're going to regulate depression, which they've already done commercially. It's out there. We've seen the obese woman in a mask in her garden. Obviously, her life has gotten better because she has a brain chip. It's kind of a big deal, thanks to Musk and others. Now, these chips, brain chips and otherwise, they're also going to lead you down the road of a more immersive metaverse. That's why all these things are interconnected. From your virtual personas to transmutating into another personality, gender, species, if you will. I mean, I could play the trans species clip if you wanted, if you'd like it. So let's let Dennis Bushnell here, the chief scientist at NASA for decades, continue.
And people are now working, thanks to Musk and other people, funding direct machine-brain communications. It's not us versus them, us versus the machines. We're merging. And this is the human evolution of the humans. There is no more natural evolution of anything.
You gotta love that. We've decided to take over the evolution of everything on the planet. We've got a problem with carbon. Hence, we have a problem with carbon-based life. Everything's going to turn out peachy keen.
People are convinced that the human evolution of everything is 10 million times faster than any natural evolution. And so this is just part of the human evolution.
This all ends up with uploading into the machines, and instead of us versus them, humans versus the machines, we become them, or they become us, or you end up with human-contaminated machines.
Human-contaminated machines. Human-contaminated machines. You end up with human-contaminated machines. Awesome. Now, on the road to this, you have to normalize robots that look like humans. It's the only reason that the Musker do here is building Optimus. All right? There are plenty of reasons to build robots and automate things, but they should be empowering humanity. All right? And that's not what this thing is doing. Instead, it is normalizing the human form in robotics to eventually replace you. What he just said, merging with the machines. And this is about a 6-minute clip. I'm not sure we're going to be able to get to all of it in the uncensored portion of the broadcast. But in it, everything is really important what he says here. Okay? Because he does tell you some truth. But at the same time, he makes promises that are Johnny nonsense based in what? Oh, robots are going to do everything. They're going to make everything so much better. Walter Cronkite pushing the same bullshit back in the 60s. You're going to work 30-hour weeks. You're going to have month-long vacations. Everything's going to get better. Really? Huh. Hasn't turned out that way. But here we go. Here's the Musk.
So here you're seeing Optimus with these are with the degrees of freedom that we expect to have in Optimus Production Unit 1, which is the ability to move all the fingers independently, to have the thumb have 2 degrees of freedom.
Yeah, I mean, we want it to be able to tell you it loves you. That we need those 2 thumbs, those fingers for freedom, to have the robot tell you it loves you.
So it has opposable thumbs and both left and right hand, so it's able to operate tools and do useful things. Our goal is to make a useful humanoid robot as quickly as possible. And we've also designed it using the same discipline that we use in designing the car, which is to design it for manufacturing such that it's possible to make the robot in high volume at low cost with high reliability. So that's incredibly important. I mean, you've all seen very impressive humanoid robot demonstrations, and that's great, but what are they missing? They're missing a brain. They don't have the intelligence to navigate the world by themselves, and they're also very expensive and made in low volume.
So again, this guy wants to take the technology, have it in high volume, have it a commercial value of under 20K, and uses the term brain. None of these things have brains. But at the same time, what he's telling you, and I made this point yesterday, is that the DARPA robots that you see, right, they're being directed via remote control. They don't have the type of system where they can self-walk and do other tasks. And that's the type of system that they're trying to put into this Optimus robot. But again, this was a very underwhelming demonstration because in these aspects, just like with Neuralink, he overpromises constantly and then he under-delivers.
Whereas Optimus is designed to be an extremely capable robot, but made in very high volume, probably ultimately millions of units, and it is expected to cost much less than a car.
I'll just bring it
So,
directly to the right here.
I would say probably less than $20,000 would be my guess.
Yay! We love you, Elon.
The potential for Optimus is, I think, appreciated by very few people. As usual, Tesla demos are coming in hot.
Oh, they're coming in hot, buddy.
So,
Okay, that's good. That's good.
yeah. The team's the team has put in an incredible amount of work, working days, 7 days a week, burning the 3 a.m. oil to get to the demonstration today.
Not the midnight oil, the 3 a.m. oil. Okay? I mean, Musk is just so damn awkward. Like, I just don't get it. I know that we live in a social media world where awkward's okay, and he's got the best people out there on the team tweeting the best things, right? He's hip and cool. He's got a leather jacket on, introducing the robots. But I mean, he's not slick at all. It's crazy.
I'm super proud of what they've done. They've really done a great job. I'd just like to give a hand to the whole Optimus team. So, now there's still a lot of work to be done to refine Optimus and improve it. Obviously, this is just Optimus version 1. And that's really why we're holding this event, which is to convince some of the most talented people in the world, like you guys, to join Tesla and help make it a reality and bring it to fruition at scale such that it can help millions of people.
So once again, this is to convince you. Come to the fold. Join the AI train. Join us. Join us.
And the potential, like I said, is really boggles the mind, because you have to say, like, what is an economy? An economy is sort of productive entities times their productivity, capita times output, productivity per capita. At the point at which there is not a limitation on capita, it's not clear what an economy even means at that point.
It's not clear what an economy even means. And if you watch the other broadcast, I let you know what it means. It means wealth is being created via automation. They want you to feel more useless via a UBI. They want you to consume less, right? And they want you to eventually merge with these machines and bring in an age of virtual insanity. That's what this means. But Elon's going to tell you, what's he going to tell you? Oh, don't worry. You'll never work again. You're going to have whatever you want.
Economy becomes quasi-infinite. So what taken to fruition in the hopefully benign scenario, this means a future of abundance, a future where there is no poverty, where you can have whatever you want in terms of products and services.
You can have whatever you want. There is just abundance. There was already abundance in the world. It's just artificial scarcity in those that control it. So this abundance you speak of has been around for a very long time, and so have these types of promises. Folks, we're down to the last 90 seconds. You heard me, 90 seconds over on these platforms. Where are we going to be? Where's Reality Rants, Jason? It's at Red Voice Media. That's where it is at right now. And if you go to redvoicemedia.net/Jason, all right, redvoicemedia.net/Jason, that's where you can sign up right now for $1. We're Monday through Thursday. Okay, it's $10 a month after that, $100 for the year subscription. Great to lock that in. You get other people, like I said, Jeffrey Wilson, Pat Militich coming on over. Very, very excited about that. But if you don't want to pay, if you say, hey, Jason, aren't you giving away all your stuff? You bet we are. You bet we are. You can come on over and listen. I don't know where. I'm hoping it's broadcasting through the bean because I don't see. I'm going to hit refresh. Maybe it doesn't come up on my own homepage when I'm going live. Well, I'm hoping we're live, and if we are live, we want you to go over to the Podbean and call in, because that's what we're going to be doing, hopefully, in the second half of this broadcast in about 60 seconds or less. The links are down below. Second half of the broadcast, not only are we going to be talking to you out there, but we're going to finish up this clip with Elon Musk. We're going to talk more about the Metaverse, VR, and we're going to go over different aspects of that NASA document. So guys, this is what I'm going to say. You want to come on over right now for the second hour of Reality Rants with Jason Bermas. Otherwise,